So being a black girl, having grown up in the blackest continent on the face of the earth, in black townships, influenced mostly by black culture, and having had only mostly black friends all throughout my life, having only dated black men, I got to love everything about being black. I did. For me, it was like the thing that got me, that understood me, that gauged me rightly. So you could imagine just how difficult it is for me to fathom. I gotta walk away from all that, not because I wanna, but because it's kind of kicking me out. I have always been attracted physically in the worst way. It's so difficult for me, like even now, to black men, guys, like goodness, Lord have mercy. I've always, like, there's just something about the black man. Man, like I don't know what's going on.
Hello, please like, please comment, please share and share and share and share, and then please subscribe. Thanks.
They feel as though a woman is not to be suffered. Yes, they have that mindset. Mfazi, we must begezela them. Black community, among these kinds of men, you will find that those that get cheated on by women, it's irrevocable, the reaction. They walk in, even though these women cheated on them once, whereas they keep cheating on these women with multiple women. Multiple ones. But if this woman goes out on him once, world ends, reputation gets destroyed, she is shamed, even though this guy might have loved her very much. There is no recovery. So we, according to them, must endure them. Been trained in black culture to just endure the nonsense of men, but it's quite the opposite with them. Woman is not endured. There's no flaw at all that she can walk in. Nothing that she can say that's kind of off balance or below the belt that will not win her an overkill of a reaction.
Hey, are you feeling reached by my content on YouTube? If so, you might be interested in checking out my tweets as well, alongside reading my content on my WordPress account, alongside checking out my shorts on TikTok. They're all in the description box below. Please enjoy the next coming content. Bye.
I was badly treated by my exes because of the fact that they were so ghetto. They were street. They were like boys in the hood. They were street boys. They were not gangsters. I've never really been with okay, my ex-boyfriend had a little bit of a criminal streak, but you get my point. Not violent gangsters, the type that kill each other, because that stuff I absolutely avoided it. Like I couldn't, like, no, but just like ghetto enough to not be too like just street, like not lacking basic honesty, like just principles that are, you know, often trained us once we enter into more gentrified environments, that, you know, such things you don't do them. You know, there are certain things that just get allowed to glide right by the noses of ghetto people from the kasi that are not okay, but because they are in the kasi with that mindset, they just don't recover. And now as we get older as women, we desire more. We still are attracted to these ghetto dudes with their ghetto nuances and cultural, like, you know, foundations, but we want them to be good men to us. Like, basically asking for the best of both worlds. I want him street, ghetto, kind of gangster hood, speaking, you know, that unrefined English, like really just like butcher it, crooked it up, and add a whole bunch of new slang into it. But also love me. Literally, you cannot get the best of both. You couldn't. So if I wanted to be loved, I had to settle then for what would be the tantamount in my world and in my life of a boring guy. Guys. Yo. Yankaphukisa. Seluguphizo mengse khonjin. Mbanoko, she's just a friend, angna address, angna belas. That's what I meant by language. Like that song, Ya Unati and Kimangzola 7. Yankaphukisa, right? That's what it means. Selugupizolo. Mengse khonjin. Mbanoko. She's just a girl, angna address, angna belas. That's how they speak. Guys, let me just explain that song. So the girl is singing, Yankapugis, Senegupizol. It's a dialogue, and the guy responds, Mengse Hongjin. Bang not call. Who's not call? And the guy then responds, she's just a girl, angna address, angna belas. Right? What that means in English is, you're annoying me. Where were you last night? And the guy says, I was at home. The girl then responds and says, who's Nokolo? Nokolo is the name of a girl. And he then is like she's just a girl. I don't have her address. I also don't have her contact details, her phone number. Now, to explain it in ghetto slang so you can understand what I'm talking about, Yankapugisa is proper Xhosa. It's a real word in Xhosa dictionaries, right? Selukupizolo is also still Xhosa. Where were you last night? So Yankapugisa Selukupizolo, you're annoying, you're agitating me. Where were you last night? Pure dialect. It's like in dictionaries and stuff. And then the guy responds, Mengse Khonjin. So Mengse, Mengise is pure Zulu. It's pure Zulu. But Khonji is the same tantamount word as crib. It's about that like speech, guys. So he's like Mengse Khonjini. In saying Mengse Khonjini, he's saying I was at home. If at all he were to say he was at home in proper pure Zulu, he would say Mengsendlini or Mengsekaya. That ain't ghetto. That's just like decent, like put together Zulu talk by a Zulu man that's very serious. Okay? But like a ghetto dude, Usekhonjini, yeah. Mengsekhonjini is I was at home. Mengise is thoroughly Zulu. Khonjini is slang, tantamount of the word crib as opposed to at home. So I was at home. If at all it was real entirely Zulu, it would be Mengisekaya. Mengisekaya is all in the dictionary. But Khonjini, you will not find that unless there's an urban dictionary in Zulu. Anywhere in the dictionary. That is slang. It's crib. It's a posse. In English, you would call it a posse. I'm at my posse, at my crib, at my whatnot. Yeah. So, and then she goes on to say, he's like, Yankapugisa Selugupizolo Mengse Khonjin, but not Kolo. Who's not Kolo? Ngubani not Kolo. That's entirely Xhosa too, or Zulu. Who is not Kolo? Who not Kolo is a name, right? A very popular, typical name in Black culture. Banu not Kolo. And so the girl always, she completely speaks her language entirely. And that's how it is with us. Like, we are the ones that speak our languages. We don't tend to speak very much Tsotsi Tal. Again, Tal is Afrikaans for language. And Tsotsi is Tswana. It could also be Sotho for gangster. Yeah, so it's basically gangster language. Thank you. Tsotsi Tal is gangster language. But Tsotsi is Tswana, while Tal is Afrikaans. And the combination of those two words is it's just one sentence, and we get it. That's how we speak. Oh, guys, like, I can't deal. Anyway, so Tsotsi Tal, what's this? Khonjini is Tsotsi Tal for a crib, a home, right? In the same way that it's ghetto slang for a house. Crib, the word crib. So we women are the ones that tend to steer clear of Tsotsi Tal or of ghetto slang, but our men speak it, and that is what makes them attractive. The fact that they have their own language is like a way they communicate in the wild with, like, pheromones or something. I don't know, like smoke signals, like in the jungle as Tarzan. It's Tarzan language to another Tarzan. It's just wild. I don't even know how to describe this to you. You just need to understand it, man. So Yankapugisa Selugupizolo, pure speech, that's the woman. But not call. Oh, that's the woman. Selugupizolo, Mengse Khonjini, the guy speaking in Tsotsi Tal. I'm at the crib, but not Kolo. She's just a girl. Now that's English. You can tell. She's just a girl. Angna means angina. Address, English, right? I don't have an address. Angna belas. Now that's Afrikaans again. Like, it's Tsotsi Tal. To call. In Afrikaans is mark bel, is to bell someone, bell, B-E-L is the Afrikaans word for call. So Tsotsi Tal, that inherits Afrikaans, goes on and makes it Zulu, and so therefore it's belas. Belas is the tantamount of I don't have her number, I don't have any way to call her, but it's mixed with angina, which is found in dictionaries. It is a it's pure Zulu. So Angna Belas is I don't have her number. I don't have Angna address. I don't have her address. Angna Belas, I don't have her number. Yeah, and this is the guy speaking. So to basically try to convert it into American slang, the whole thing, it goes yang kapugisa selugu pizolo mingse khonjin ban not call angna she's just a girl angna address angna Belas. In American slang, the woman would be like, "You're irritating me. Where were you last night?" And the guy would respond by saying, "I was at the crib." And the woman would be like, "Who's Nokolo?" And the guy would respond by saying, "She's just a girl. I don't have her address. And I don't have her digits. Thank you. I don't have her address and I don't have her digits." Yeah, that's how it goes. So that's like the guy is the one that speaks the slang. Yankapu, like, "You're annoying me. Where were you last night?" "I was at the crib." "Who's not going? She's just some girl. I ain't got her address and I ain't got her digits." Yeah. Like, there's a way, like, it's not proper English. Digit is not a number in English. It has another interpretation, another explanation. So to use it in this way is to then therefore be applying ghetto slang. That's how our men speak, and I imagine it's like that across African culture. And that is something that is just so attractive about black men, and I don't find it's nowhere else, guys. I mean, it does exist in the colored community, but colored people are black, guys. They're black. Indians have their own slang too. I would imagine white people, especially within the Afrikaans culture, they've got their own thing, and they grew up among each other, and so they're attracted to that. Well, I grew up among black men, and that's how they spoke. And for me, it was like, where am I gonna find enye outi again? Outi tigene. Those are not words that you're going to find in like real, true, proper Tswana or Zulu dictionaries. Outi and tigene is like, you know, in English, calling a chick a woman a chick, as a, you know, instead of like a girl, or what do you rather like a tigene, like, how can I just, yeah, man, you get my point. Like, what would be an English word, like a American culture for a woman, but urban dictionary type thing? Yeah, that whole situation, that's what out in a cherry or tigin, you know, cherry like, oh yeah, cherry is not a Tswana word at all. It is an English word that it speaks of a fruit, I guess. I don't even know where they got it from. Tigin, I don't know where that came from. Tigin is a woman. Le tigin yenzani. I literally don't, but I just love the way they speak. We just get it. Right? And for me, when I came to Christ, I was like, I want a man that speaks like that. I want a man that still has Tsotsi Tao on his tongue, with a cleanly shaven head, basically a ghetto dude, but like a refined one that's gonna know how to love me as Christ loved the church. I literally went and I asked the Lord, I was like, if I'm gonna be with a man, when you bring my husband to me, please make sure that he's from Soweto. But then I changed my mind. I was like, okay, maybe not Soweto, but he has to be that way. I said I wanted a South African man, because I want a man that's gonna know, understand my cultural nuances, speak the languages that we speak, and not only the languages that we speak, but also that have those nuances, those cultural nuances, those quirks, because I'm attracted to them. I am attracted to blackness. But then I got older, right? In the faith, I started to grow. And thanks to whatever's going on right now on social media, we are inheriting so many cultures, ideas, right? And I fell in love with the rest of African culture, because we are the same, just different languages. Our Tsotsital is different, but it's nonetheless there across the cultures. But it's only in us, the way, that particular gesturing way about it. Hey, come inside, please. It's cold and I need to close the window. I have a cat, as you can tell. These lights blind me. I need to not look at them. Yeah, no, I noticed it in Nigeria. The Western African culture was the first that I studied a whole bunch of. Also dance. They really love to dance, blah, blah, all that jazz. And I was like, that's when I then was like, any black man from anywhere, as long as they've got these nuances, these things, the way that they talk with each other. Yo, guys. So there is this, I believe I have told you about that guy, that Nigerian Oki that I met at one of the places where I've been thrown to live in the season of persecution, that attempted raped me. Basically, he was my friend, right? And I couldn't give him more than what he wanted from me. It wasn't about that life. He was a Nigerian man, and I remember every single time he would get on the phone with his friends, I would be like I was stumbled by that. And he wasn't even speaking English, of course. He was speaking his language. I couldn't understand a word of what he was saying, but guys, as I would listen to, I would be like, hey, this guy, he was a Muslim, so there was no way that I could ever be with that guy. He wasn't even trying to profess Christ. I tried to evangelize him, it didn't work, type setup thing. But I was like, he was so loud. He was so street, he was so ghetto. In like when he was speaking with his friends on the phone, I couldn't even allow. To me, it was like, dude, the guy is not. He's not like 10 stories away from here. He's not 10 houses down. He's just on the phone. Why are you so loud? But I was so in love with it. Like, I just absolutely how loud they get. And he was speaking. I don't know what language he was speaking, but it was his language, right? I couldn't understand what he was saying. And so guys, who is this guy? I love his music. The way I don't even know what he's saying, but I love that language. And I can't even tell you what in the world he's saying, but I just love that language. He collaborated with Yemi Alade in one song. I forgot his name, but is it Swahili? No, it's not Swahili. I don't know. But it's very fast. It's very fast. It's a... It sounds like that. When Nigerian men break out into that language, I'm just like don't nobody move, right? I forgot the song. He collabs in it with Yemi Alade, right? Yeah, anyway, whatever. That's why I have such a big adoration for Nigerian music. Whenever, if at all, you've seen me exercising, if at all you tuning into African music, it's mostly Western African type music. Anyway, whatever. Yeah. So that is when I noticed in myself that it's not so much just about South Africa, but about just Africanness. I'm very attracted to Africanness, the thing that has made the world give us grief. They call us loud and like obnoxious and just like extreme, and for me it's like I can't anything but like I want it, like all of it, and it exists in black people across the world, even those that don't speak different languages, even the ones who speak just English. They have that ghetto thing about them, a streak. It dwells in them very naturally, and it makes me sad then when I gaze upon it in black men, understanding that I can't have that because they are cold. They are cold. I am attracted to black men in the worst way, and it is a gravitational pull that is almost difficult to resist. It's everything about them, their skin, the fact that they're dark skin, their hair, the fact that they don't have any on their heads, their deep voices, their ghetto vibe, the thing about them that does not even quite speak English right, the mix of many languages, I am so attracted to it. I'm so drawn to it. I just love them so much. Like, I'm so attracted to black men. It's almost fetishistic, the way it's so extreme in me. It's the only men I've ever been with, and the reasons that I have been with them have all been the same across them all. It's been how ghetto they are, how they just have a way about words, how they can't piece a sentence together properly, really, in whatever language, but somehow they mix a myriad of, I just love that, a myriad of languages. I have a thing about the way black people talk. They have slang. There is just like a black swagger, guys. I can't describe it. It's a black swagger. They just keep inventing new languages within their languages. Like, I've noticed on YouTube, for instance, going back to American culture, when watching YouTube videos of these comedians or just any black American speaking, there is this word that just keeps on popping up that I don't understand what it means, but now I think I've kind of figured it out. It's things like those that get to me. It's like the tantamount of saying khashu or ikhonji, like an innovation of a new word. The word is finna, like finna. I don't know how you spell it. F-I-double-N-A or N-A. And it basically is the tantamount of going to. Going to. I think that's what it means. Going to. Don't know how in the world they prospered to find going to out of finna, but I'm finna be 22. I'm finna be hungry. I'm finna go, like whatever. It basically means I'm gonna go somewhere, and I keep picking it up. I keep picking it up until eventually I was like, oh, like okay, so that basically means this, and it just comes so naturally to them. That's how we are, us. As well here in our country, there are words that just are there. They don't form part of any dictionary, and they are catchy to us, and they dwell within only our culture. I have not heard any white American basically saying, I'm finna be 22 in 3 months. Like, I've never heard that coming from a white American. From the ones that I listen to, I only find it within like black culture, and especially black culture that's super ghetto. And that is the thing that I left my suburban life to go and join, because something about it pulled me towards it. I gravitated towards it. It's my preference. It's what I want. It's what I asked God for. But I asked it to be refined. Unfortunately, however, men that come from that kind of blackness, guys, Tando, for what, for who? Love, for what, for who? They don't love women. They're among the most misogynistic men on the planet. They are cold. They provide lots and lots of sexual healing, if you want to call it that, but nothing else. They have sex, lots of it, with women, and that's their idea of love. They are unfaithful. They're unloving. They're cold towards women, and they love their bromances where they chill with each other and speak smack about women. They are so addictive to us women, those kinds of men, but they are also so incredibly destructive and abusive and careless for us. So basically, as a black woman, if you want a black man, I guess, and you don't want to get hurt like that, you kind of have to settle for the boring ones. I'm sorry, but I find them boring. The boring ones with the gentrified thing about them, and they're like, kind of a neat bunch, like a Zulu man that speaks isiZulu, SC pure. I don't even know what pure is. Uninterrupted, unfettered, unadulterated, and such that when he speaks Zulu, he's here. Like, like, yeah. I want a person that's kind of watered down in those regards, because it is that which I come from, and so I'm drawn to it. I'm drawn to it. I left my suburban life to be a part of it. I literally investigated the prospect of it. What is this thing? But I don't want people getting photosensitive epilepsy. There was like a flashing thing here going on with my camera, and so I had to stop recording because I kind of noticed it. I hope it only like came on in the latter part, so that it doesn't distract people that might be watching that have got photosensitive epilepsy. Anyway, yeah. So that is the situation that I'm in right now. So I'm looking at the situation at hand. That's like gawking at me, and I am scared out of my mind that I might end up having to settle in romance for someone that is going to be safe, like a neat guy, like somebody that he won't hurt me, but he does I do, you know, that thing, like I'm not as attracted to him as I would love to be. I have only ever been attracted, not only, please, that's not true, but I am most richly attracted to black men like that, those kinds of black men. They're my biggest pull. It's pretty much what would be the tantamount of my type, but it's not really my type because I don't want to be crushed into a fine powder by a guy that I am absolutely addicted to. Oh goodness, no. Like, it's like raw blackness, like RAW blackness that has not been filtered. I really have a thing about raw black men, but it is the very ones that are very raw black that it's like, it ain't broke, I ain't trying to fix it. They're so rugged that they don't see the need for change. I don't like men who are too, pristine, filed down and together in a bunch and nice little crisp white shirt and nothing is out of place, not a single button or hey, and I want my man just ever so slightly scruffy. Like, I do. I do. I mean, of course, he mustn't look like a hobo because what are we doing? Like, but I want my man rough around the edges. I want him with a little bit of stubble on his face, if at all he doesn't grow a beard. Otherwise, a beard is great. I want my man a little rough. Like, he must just be a man. A man. Ooh, guy batong, tucking in shirts ever so perfectly. I don't know, guys, I just like men a little rough around the edges. It's that too much to ask? They already are kind of rough anyway, right? We're the ones that are the fairer sex here, so it's not like I'm expecting something that's too much. So they already come kind of with hairs out of place. But it turns out that these ones that have their hairs out of place a little bit, just a little, ever so slightly, not too much, because who wants a hobo? They're unloving. Can I not get oh goodness, yes, thank you very much. I will tell you just what the ruggedness that is perfect for me in a man. I don't know if you guys have seen The Walking Dead Daryl. That's a white man, right? He's not black, but it doesn't matter. Just Boraf Bachache. Daryl from The Walking Dead. He is this dude that is a hunter. Not a hunter, what is this? He's a fighter, a warrior. He's an archer, right? He has this bow and arrow. He rarely ever cuts his hair, barely ever shaven. And he's always wearing just this one leather jacket. He's a biker. And he looks some days in The Walking Dead like he hasn't bathed for 5 days. If not the whole year. And that stuff is just really attractive. He's just such a man. And he's always protecting everything and everyone. And when it comes time to fight, like them zombies, he is all up in that archer. To a point where Negan recruited him into his little satanic organization, wanted him anyway, to be part of Negan's men. Because he was just such a man. Daryl from The Walking Dead, that ruggedness. And again, he wasn't the most knowledgeable. He wasn't the most intelligent guy there. He wasn't the dude with the best way about communicating with everybody. He just got the job done. It was raw manhood. I don't know. Please go I wouldn't recommend you watch The Walking Dead, although it speaks very much about the way the world is in the last days. I don't think it's too bad for Christians. Frankly, I really don't. It can be a little bit gory to watch if you don't like gory things, but it literally is depictive of the way the world is right now in a spiritual sense. It's not heavily sensual or anything like that. There's sex and everything. All of that stuff is not in there. It's just family viewing just with zombies. Yeah, that's The Walking Dead for you. That's why I liked it. Watched it from season 1 all the way to the end. And Daryl, I grew, I caught I had a crush, a man crush on him in that show because of the manhood that he had. It was rugged, it was raw, and it focused basically on what it is that needed to be done. Making war with these zombies, and like I said, he wore the same jacket from season 1 all the way up until the end, and he looked like he didn't even bath sometimes. I like my men like that. I don't know. Not messy. Just focused on the mission enough to not pay too much attention to the fact that his hair hasn't been cut. And yeah, I think I might have hit a nail in the coffin. Men shouldn't be too concerned about their physical appearance. And Daryl, yeah, rugged. Just, yo guys, Daryl. Like, anyway, whatever, right? So Daryl, that is the kind of man that I get attracted to, like, without a fail, like, constantly. Guys who are neat, like, here, no. But unfortunately, they are the only ones that are safe for women, especially women that have been endured through the kind of trauma that I've been endured through. They're loving, they're kind, they're catering, they are compassionate, they're merciful. They have all these like character traits, virtues that Jesus Christ would wear. And so therefore the kind of men that I should easily, like, you know, sort of kind of gradually swing towards, right? But I'm not attracted to them. So I am literally in a rock and a hard place in between it. I don't know if I have to be exorcised or what, or these men have to be exorcised. I'm literally drawn to the typical prodigal son. The thing that these women are talking about on social media. I am drawn to the kind of man that wants to ignore Jesus. You see, there's that thing happening again. I don't know why it's going on. Like, you see that here? I am naturally drawn to men that just want to ignore the Lord. Guys, the Lord's prescriptions, especially about their ways with women, they're so caveman-y, Fred Flintstone-y, tribalistic, Tarzan-y, that they literally don't pay attention to the fact that women are actually the fairer sex, the weaker sex. Yes, that is true. We are physically weaker. They are cavemen. They are cavemen, like very attractive cavemen. But because they're cavemen, they don't have manners. They don't have decorum. They don't have compassion and mercy for women. They don't have the amount of love that is needed. And so when you're attracted to a little bit of a Tyrese from Baby Boy, oh my, it's a child in a very mannish looking individual. What are you going to do with that? What under heaven are you going to do with Tyrese from Baby Boy? Guys, what? If you've seen Baby Boy, I wouldn't recommend you go watch it. I saw it like back in the day long ago. It's kind of dark in some parts, so no. Like, what are you going to do with a guy that immature? A guy that looks so much like a man and has so many mannish things about him going, but he's actually just a little boy on the inside that likes to slap little girls on the school playground a whole bunch because he's struggling with castration anxiety. I can't. I'm in a rock and a hard place. I am so attracted to the same kind of man I was attracted to all along in my life. But in that attraction, I am now facing the risk of abuse at the hands of my man, my husband. Like, whoever I end up with, if he is anything typical to the kind of man that I was with in the past, I will not be, he will not be faithful to me. He won't. He will not be faithful, and I will not be safe in him. When I cry, he will get exhausted by the fact that I'm just emotionally, like, taxing to sit and wait around. Men that, like, they are so untrained in how to treat women that they downplay our tears. They think the way to quench a woman's sorrow is by sexing her. So the way that they overcome their girlfriend's pain has always in the past been sexual. So now when you're in Christ and you can't just like rely on sex for everything, especially in the run up to getting married, so you're waiting. What is he gonna do? I mean, he can't just like all of a sudden, you know, do whatever to you. So what do you now? You have to talk. Now you actually have to pay attention. Now you actually have to mind me. Now you have to care that I'm crying, I'm hurting, and my tears are a burden to you. You can't just grab me and put me against the wall and do whatever you want to do, and then go and be with your boys because I'm emotional, and you got to give me an orgasm or something. Like, you, like, literally. And it's like when they come to Christ, they don't. If they come to Christ at all, they don't find it necessary to get retrained on how to actually be with women. They don't realize that they need to have demons in them uprooted of apathy towards the opposite sex. They don't have an imperative inside them to actually make right where it is that they historically were wrong in that regard. But I don't want to be with a boring guy. I have been asked out by so many in the past, and I couldn't, guys. I couldn't. I wanted to be loved, and I knew. You know when you look at a guy and you're like, oh, you're such a good guy. You're such a good guy. And you know that he can love you. You know that he can really hold it down for you. Like, this guy's not going to cheat. He's not going to pull stunts. And on top of that, if you cry, he's going to do everything to try and find out what's wrong. Buy you flowers. Take you away on holiday. Like, whatever. Like, But he's just, nah. You know, and then you end up just defaulting right back to that bad man. That bad man that is just so addictive to you. So must we then, as black women who are attracted to very typically raw black men, must we then, in the interest of ending up with godly men, ignore our attraction to the kinds of men that we grew up among? Goodness, they make up millions of our men. Millions. Are they not supposed to get saved? Are they not supposed to embark on kingdom relationships, kingdom marriages? Are they not supposed to fulfill the work of God? Is a ghetto man not supposed to preach? Even though he can't speak English the way that Charles Spurgeon spoke it, who cares? At the end of the day, if people understand what you're saying, then you will preach in that dialect of yours. In your Tsotsital, people in the Kasi will understand it. Like, people will understand your English that lacks proper grammar, proper sentence structure. Because, really, English is overrated, guys. There are so many different languages across the world. And so, to go on right ahead and base validity or eloquence or articulateness on English is immature. It is childish. It is childish. Like, that's the very same thing that Moses was lamenting about, that he was stuttering. And these men don't speak English that is comprehended or that is easily listenable to by people of a particular audience group. And if they go in and stand in front of that particular audience group, and that audience group looks at them, typically the way that the world is, that is very judgmental, looks at them thinking, my goodness, this guy can't even speak proper English. And yet he wants me to listen to him speak about Jesus. If at all that is the kind of person in your audience, then I guess that was not the kind of person you were supposed to reach for Christ anyway. Because if you could grow from the age of 0 up until whatever age you're at today and be comprehended by some people in your ecosystem sufficiently enough for them to know your name, know what you're about, and also have a decent conversation with you, it must mean that you have a market. Literally everybody has a market. There are people who don't speak a single word of English, and they have a market, and it can therefore reach people for Christ. There are people who don't speak a single word of whatever language. Like, even if English is your only language, but you speak it badly, you have grown up to get to the age of whatever you are, with people understanding what you say when you speak, where you're going, what you've done, and you could sit with them without them feeling as if though you're speaking a foreign language, and so they might as well just walk out of the room. There is a market for every soul on the earth, no matter what they're into. There are disciples of the Lord Jesus Christ that are deaf and mute, so they can't use words to communicate the gospel. But every last one of us, once we come to Christ, have been charged to go and make disciples of all nations. So therefore, a guy that is deaf and mute is no different from Garabo. When they get saved, you got to make disciples of all nations. So how does the deaf and mute guy give the gospel? Maybe he can write. So he writes, and he can speak sign language. And so for those reasons, there is an audience in the market that is happy to listen to him in sign language. Because who in the world is going to teach those that are indeed deaf and mute the gospel? Other people who speak sign language. Do you understand what I'm saying? So there is a market literally for everyone. There is a market for everyone. No one can therefore then conclude that because they've only ever grown up in the ghetto and speak a very typical ghetto type English, that no one is going to hear them. What in the world? I personally am drawn to those very guys who undermine the fact that God could ever call them because they stutter. I'm attracted to men with broken English, if you want to call it that. Men who come from the ghetto, and so therefore they are rough around the edges in terms of the way that they speak English, but they have their own language, and that language, I got it, I comprehended, and I also was attracted to it. And it is the thing that I am so drawn to that I can't even imagine life without a man like that. A ghetto man, a dude with a streak of bukasi men. Gentrified guys here in the suburbs, please relax. Hey, no bloma. Hey, son, no guys, I'm from the ghetto, okay? I'm gassy in and of myself, even though I can be a snob, but I am a snob that is very ghetto. I don't know how to describe it. I'm trying to explain. Those are the men that I'm attracted to. So in a physical sense, like I'm drawn to them in the worst way, physically. And I'm expected to just get over my physical attraction because they don't exist in these communities, the kinds of men that would serve the Lord. So maybe that's why all of these women all over social media feel like they need to go and fetch prodigal sons. They're ghetto. They're these guys from the ghetto. And because they're ghetto, they have no respect for women. They're not coming around fast enough to understanding that God is calling them. And on top of that, they imagine that because they are restricted in their communication landscape, or in the way that they speak, that God can't possibly call them. Last time I checked, God called Moses. They're mean, but they're hard not to love. What am I supposed to do? I'm sitting where I'm sitting right now, feeling like, how in the world am I speaking to a man that is my husband when he is just disregarding me like this? They've always done that. They ignore women. They don't pay attention to what women are saying. They don't care when women speak. They get irritated with women. They walk out on women when women want to like speak their minds because they feel like it is weakness to pay attention to a woman when she's speaking, because next thing he's whipped. They literally train each other to believe that a man is weakened by serving with love his woman. They feel like that is a tantamount of weakness. And so if these are the kinds of men that we're attracted to, it is no wonder like YouTube is teeming at the folds, running over bubbling brook with women that feel as if though they've got prodigal husbands that just won't come home fast enough. They are tiptoeing all over them, guys. They're walking on eggshells. I feel so sorry for these women because I feel sorry for myself. It's like I see myself in them. They're walking on eggshells around men who will never listen to them. Like, you have to watch your words. Hey, baton guys, when like these guys, when I was dating some of them back in the day, it was like, you did not say anything too extreme, lest you should, trigger him. He is not a man with whom you can have a conversation about anything deep for too long, because then he's gonna be the one that's in there giving the information, not a conversation, but a one-way thing where he's telling you what's going on, as opposed to you actually having a dialogue about it. It's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to be with them. They're so sensitive. They are like they've got small hearts. They are aggressive. They get irritable. They are edgy. They get irritated very fast, especially with women. But the level of forbearance they have for other men evidences that they have it in them to actually forbear people. But they don't. They don't. It's almost as if though they feel as if though a woman is not to be suffered. Yes, they have that mindset. Umfazi, we must begezela them. Rona ra ba khotlela mara bona ba feelang ka mosadi ga khotlelwe. Mosadi wa la tlhwanje. Like in the black community, among these kinds of men, you will find that those that get cheated on by women, yes, like it is irrevocable, the reaction that they walk in, even though literally these women cheated on them once, whereas they keep cheating on these women with multiple ones. But if this woman goes out on him once, the world ends, her reputation gets destroyed, she is shamed, and even though this guy might have loved her very much, there is no recovery. So we, according to them, must endure them. The other day I did that video where I was speaking about mosadi wa khotlelwa, monna wa khotlelwa, a man is endured. And we have been trained in black culture to just endure the nonsense of men, basically. Yeah, but it's quite the opposite with them. that a woman is not endured. There's no flaw at all that she can walk in. No, nothing that she can say that's kind of, off balance or below the belt that will not win her an overkill of a reaction. I am literally, right now, dealing with being ghosted, iced out, frozen, and living in the Antarctic Circle for misdemeanors, mild infringements against this guy when he has committed grand abominations against me. Mosadi ga kgotlelwe, in these men. A woman is not endured. She's not suffered. You don't take crap from a woman at all. Like nothing. There's no room, no leg room. So any woman that wants to stay with these kinds of men basically has to walk on eggshells. They're so easy to turn, snap. They are so easy to comprehensively turn off in a very irrevocable way. They are so easy to lose, even though at some point when they came into your life, you imagine that they wouldn't be able to live without you. They're the kind of men that let massive love go. Because mosadi ga kgotlelwe, a woman is not endured. They literally do not suffer women at all. What the heck? How is that even anything that can work out in a marriage? They throw women out with the trash that have committed mild misdemeanors, literally type of stuff that gets community service, when they've done when literally they have committed the kinds of crimes that put them on death row, never mind a life sentence against these women. We are not suffered at all, and there is not a single person in this world that does not have fault or error. We are all sinners, so they don't ever reach a middle ground. I feel patronized by how much I am working so hard for a prodigal son right now. I feel like I'm groveling, I'm grinding, and it's all fruitless. Because I'm literally working too hard for the person who is the most innocent in this equation. I am by far the rightest person in this equation. And yet I'm groveling with more effort than he has ever put in. I am tumulted and troubled by that. I am hugely disquieted by it, because how in the world, once I have done all this work, as exhausting as it is, and so therefore as exhausted as I likely will be by the time I'm done, if at all it does bear fruit, if at all he does eventually turn around, how am I ever going to be comfortable to be myself around him? How am I'm always going to feel like this is the kind of person that just snaps easily. Pelo enyane, pelo a chichiboya enyane, pelo ya the size of a pea, a small little heart that just gets annoyed fast. Quick, no temperance in them at all. They're like that, these guys that are as attractive as they are to us women who just cannot get enough of these ghetto dudes. Who have this street edge about them, that rougher, rugged around the edges. I loathe that I'm even doing this. I literally low-key wish, long desire, pray that this work that I am doing so much for, a guy that I'm groveling literally way too much for right now, I'm kind of hoping low-key that what God is rather doing here is opening up my faithfulness, opening up the eyes of some other man to the kind of faithfulness that I wear, so that I don't have to be endured through that particular guy. I'm kind of hoping that the Lord, our thoughts are not his thoughts, our ways are not his ways, but his thoughts are higher than ours. And the Lord also says, trust the Lord your God and lean not on your own understanding, and in all that you do, trust him and he will make your path straight. The Lord always says, don't lean on your own understanding. I really, something inside me low-key hopes that I'm leaning on my own understanding, that I have an idea of how this is going to pan out, but that God is going to bring something else. I thoroughly did hope that this work that I am putting in right now is on someone else and not this guy, because I don't know what under heaven that relationship would ever look like if at all he did do a 180 turnaround and come back. I would have groveled and begged. I'm never going to feel secure and safe in that. I'm never going to feel like I can be comfortable that my man is not going to snap like that. at the slightest little offense that comes my way and then leave for days on end, stay in a freaking hotel, or decide to file for divorce. Like, just a small little heart. Like, this guy's reaction to misdemeanors on my part, and even then I don't even see how they're even misdemeanors, is so massive. It's such an overkill that I don't know how it can ever be okay that he made me grovel like this. I literally do not know.
Hey, are you feeling reached by my content on YouTube? If so, you might be interested in checking out my tweets as well, alongside reading my content on my WordPress account, alongside checking out my shorts on TikTok. They're all in the description box below. Please enjoy the next coming content. Bye.
I do not want to marry a man and ever so often stumble violently in the marriage. And I see the kind of man that I very typically, historically, was attracted to. I want to see the kind of guy this guy that's passing me shade right now. I don't want to see him in the street and have to exercise all different kinds of self-control to keep myself in a bun while looking at my husband that does not quite do it for me that way, does not churn me in that way. Of course, I would never marry a man I'm not attracted to. It's not about that arranged marriage life, but I am so drawn to these men. I'm so attracted to them in the worst way. Very physically, it's a violent tornado that I fear that my head will ever sway in the direction of black men that I am used to being with if I find myself elsewhere.
Don't forget to like, comment, share, and finally subscribe.